We are officially live. So good afternoon, everyone who's watching us on our YouTube channel and everyone who is here live in the audience with us. We appreciate you taking the time out of your day to be here with us today. So thank you very much for that. Today's workshop, we are featuring all access to Mayor's Office for people with disabilities. This workshop is to meet the Mayor's Office of People with Disabilities as they discuss the programs and offer the disability community with a focus on entrepreneurs. Additionally, DPS is going to present an overview of some of the programs, so we'll go over that in a slide to kind of let you know about the business enterprise owned or operated by people with disabilities, which is the acronym for BEPD, which includes service disabled veterans. This is the inaugural workshop that we have with MOPD, so thank you very much to the department, so thank you for that. With that said, as the inaugural workshop, the following dates are our upcoming workshop dates, if anyone watching wants to join us for those. We will mention that all of our workshops are live streamed on our YouTube channel, so if you're unable to come and make it down here to City Hall, you can watch them all online as they're happening or right after the class is done. The YouTube channel is Chicago DPS, if you would like to follow us there as well. So, as mentioned, one of our certifications is called the Business Enterprise Owned or Operated by People with Disabilities. We're going to go over some of the eligibility requirements for that. So, eligibility requirements. Your ownership has to be at least 51% of the business owned by one or more minority, women, veteran, or disadvantaged individuals or groups. The independence for this must be demonstrated. You must demonstrate the ability to independently perform in the firm's area of specialty and expertise. The control, you must exercise majority control over management and daily operations. Your expertise, you must demonstrate prior experience in desired specialty areas, for example, training, licenses, and your credentials. The location is a big one, and that's something that we get often. The location is a 6-county region of Cook, which includes Cook, DuPage, Kane, Will, Lake, and McHenry. We will have this updated in our next presentation just to make sure that you have an outline of the eligibility requirements. But since we're featuring the agency, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to that department so that they can kind of let you know more about who they are and who they serve and what they do with the city. So we'll move on and turn it on over to our featured speaker.
All right. Hi, my name is Lori Dittman, and I'm the Senior Policy Analyst with the Mayor's Office for People with Disabilities. I'll get into what I do specifically a little later, but I wanted to start out by just talking about MOPD more generally and what programs and services we provided. So today I'm going to cover what MOPD's mission is, who we serve, the programs and services, and how to contact us with any questions or comments you might have. I just wanted to briefly read what our mission is so that everyone has this information. MOPD promotes total access, full participation, and equal opportunity for people with all types of disabilities. Our comprehensive approach to systemic change for people with disabilities includes the delivery of direct independent living services, public education, and awareness about disability issues, public policy, and initiatives with the goal of making Chicago the most accessible and inclusive city in the nation. Additionally, in terms of the relationship we have with other departments or sister agencies, we do provide any sort of disability-related expertise to them as well, along with private companies and nonprofit organizations. So who is it that MOPD serves? We serve about 600,000 individuals with disabilities who live, work, and visit Chicago. So that's quite a few people with all varying needs. So keeps us busy. We have a staff of 32 people and covering all various different areas of the department. Just to kind of give clarification, what does it mean that a person has a disability? The ADA defines it as a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities, a record of such impairment, or being regarded as having such impairment. There are, as I mentioned, quite a few areas of programs and services that MOPD provides. I'll start with just giving kind of a brief description of what those are. Information and referral. That's part of our staff. They provide assistance with identifying and accessing different resources. So we get thousands of calls each year looking for different types of information, and our INR staff addresses that. Accessibility compliance, certainly one of our most active units. We provide accessibility plan reviews to new buildings in Chicago. We provide technical assistance and information about federal, state, and local accessibility codes and laws. This past year, one new initiative that we completed was finalizing accessibility regulations for the Chicago Human Rights Ordinance. So previously, the Human Rights Ordinance had language of, obviously forbidding discrimination on the basis of disability, but it really lacked the technical assistance that people with disabilities and businesses need, so to be compliant. So the new regulations discuss, reasonable accommodations, how businesses can be compliant with the Chicago Code and laws, and we think it's going to be an important, a really important resource for businesses and the disability community alike. Our youth programs, we have quite a few of those. We have a program that where our staff works with deaf and hard of hearing students, and they talk about substance abuse. And our staff goes into different schools and has these programs, because unfortunately there is substance abuse can be pretty prevalent in the deaf and hard of hearing community. That part of the office also provides various employment and readiness programs for students with disabilities, and we have youth mentoring, job shadowing, internships, and referrals to transition service. And we work very closely with CPS and quite a few private businesses to help students with disabilities get ideas about what they would like to do for a living, and give them some mentorship opportunities. The disability resources is similar to that's kind of the INR I was telling you about, that provides a lot of different information to people with disabilities. Training, we do disability awareness and etiquette classes, independent living skills, and communication access, and information about disability rights, laws, and code. We work with a lot of city departments and agencies, giving them information not only about laws and codes and anti-discrimination policies, but also how to interface with people in the disability community. And we do that not only with the city departments and agencies, but we're also very active in doing that with private companies as well. Our employment programs, we do employment readiness support, we do referrals to job training and placement agencies, and benefits counseling to individuals who have SSI, SSDI. That's really important because there's a lot of people with disabilities who want to work but are reluctant to look for work because they fear losing their benefits. And so this program really shows individuals how to seek employment and not have those concerns about losing your benefits. Our independent living program, we provide homemaker services, home delivered meals, needs assessments, in-home adaptive devices, and independent living workshops. I would say really kind of one of our main objectives of the department is to encourage the independence of the disability community. So this part of our office really provides that type of assistance, you know, giving people the assistance and the aid that they need, but also with an eye out on adding more independence to their lives each day. One of our most popular and needed programs is our HOMOD program. The HOMOD program provides $10,000 grants to make homes accessible for people with disabilities. And we work with delegate agencies to do the needs assessments. It's for people under the age of 60, and the types of modifications we do includes like lowering kitchen cabinets, counters, roll-in showers, exterior ramps, and vertical platform lifts, and interior lifts to make people's homes accessible. Again, this too is we really look for those individuals and really try to determine how this is going to make a difference in their lives. Are they going to be able to seek employment? Are they going to be able to become more integrated in the community once their home is more accessible? Public policy is actually the area that I'm responsible for. So I wanted to spend a little more time just kind of explaining what that is. Each department has a legislative liaison where we work with the mayor's office on in my case, any sort of disability-related legislation and policy. And that can be on the city, state, and federal level. So one of my tasks is always then to look at something that's been introduced, and whether it's, again, city or state, and make a recommendation whether or not we think that it's good public policy for the disability community. One of the best parts of my job is that it covers a lot of territory. And so whether it's transportation, pedestrian safety, emergency preparedness has become a huge part of my position in ensuring that the city's emergency planning is inclusive of people with disabilities. So those are just kind of different examples of some of the other work that I'm responsible for. And then there's the occasional task force that we take on. 2 years ago, we managed a mayoral task force on literacy. And this was really important that there's actually a 40% gap between, a literacy gap between people with disabilities and people without disabilities. So we had a committee that made a number of recommendations to CPS in terms of how we can start closing that gap. And then recently, actually, we're still working on this, so some of the things I want to share are actually proposals, but given the purpose for today, I did want to kind of go over some of the other things that we're going to be working on in the next year or so. And that's the Mayor's Task Force on Employment with economic opportunities for people with disabilities. This covers really a wide range of recommendations about employment, unemployment of people with disabilities is still a huge problem, despite a lot of the other advances that have been made under the ADA and other disability rights laws. Employment is still a difficult one that we're struggling with. So, you know, we're working on, this task force is working on quite a few recommendations about how to increase employment opportunities for people with disabilities. But one of the work groups has really focused a lot on the BEPD program that was referenced earlier. So I just wanted to kind of give just some general thoughts of the direction we may be going for the BEPD program. We want to make sure that all information about the BEPD program is accessible and really marketed toward entrepreneurs with disabilities, so that they see what opportunities there may be for them out there. We want to also really increase the number of BEPDs, and one of the ideas is for procurement services and business affairs to do a lot of really active workshops, and maybe take workshops on the road to talk to entrepreneurs about how to start a business and really give them the technical assistance and guidance that they need, to be able to help them with business licensing. What does that mean, and what are the requirements for that? And also, obviously, the BEPD certification program and the benefits of becoming certified with the city. We want to do other outreach with, on a website, really explaining the value of the certification. This July 19th, we are having, every other year, we have our largest event called Access Chicago, which is held at Navy Pier. And it's a large expo of different services and vendors and programs that are available to people with disabilities, but it's also a fun day where people, bring their kids and their sports and games and contests and things like that. So a lot of people come and they just really spend the whole day there. But also, this year we really want to be able to target entrepreneurship and really have some, additional information there for people interested in starting their own businesses. We also want to work more closely with sister agencies to include and also use BEPDs in their contracting. And we're also looking at, different reciprocal agreements, mentor programs, and other things that we can work with entrepreneurs with disabilities to really get them to have the technical assistance that they need to start a business, and really try to integrate their efforts into everything that the city does for small businesses. So that's one of the things that some of the things we really hope will come out of the task force. Losing track of where I am here, but you've already heard about the BEPD program. You want to? Sure. And we'll have some additional information about that before we wrap up.
As briefly mentioned, we do offer, if you're not yet BEPD certified and you're interested in learning how to become certified, we do have a monthly workshop called How to Become Certified, and that goes over that as well. Our next one is on April 25th from 2 to 3 here in the Bid and Bond room, and we will go over specifically about the different programs that we have. But I just wanted to kind of follow up with a little bit more on the bid incentive information. For BEPD, we have just released a bid incentive guide, a guide to our bid incentives with the City of Chicago. It was very important for our department to be as transparent as possible, and we had a record number of ordinances and bid incentives that were put in place within the last 2 to 3 years. So it's really important to make sure that we have all of this data for our vendor community in one solid place instead of having it over different places for you guys to find this information. So we put it all together into this book called The Guide to Bid Incentives and Programs. So anyone listening to us on YouTube, you can actually download this book on the City of Chicago website. So it's www.cityofchicago.org/DPS, and you will see a bright blue book that says Guide to Bid Incentives and Programs. Once you download that book, it literally has all the different bid incentives. It goes into specifics on what the incentive is, who and how you're eligible, how the incentive works, how you can apply that incentive, how does a bidder apply for it, and what happens whether or not you're able to meet your commitment. So it's a really fine detail about learning about the different programs and all the different incentives and how you can mix and match them. So as far as the BEPD bid incentive, so this incentive is based upon the commitment to utilize BEPD as the prime contractor or as a subcontractor in the performance of the contract, and is designed to increase contracting opportunities and participations by business enterprises owned and operated by people with disabilities. Who is eligible for the incentive? As we mentioned, to obtain a credit as a prime contractor, a bidder must be, number one, a business certified by the state of Illinois as a service-disabled, veteran-owned small business, or have received a certification as a BEPD by our department of, by DPS, Department of Procurement Services, in advance of the bid/proposal. So that's really important to make sure that you're eligible for that. In addition, to be certified as a BEPD, an entity must not be an established business based An entity must not be an established business based on the size standards set forth in the municipal code, and that section is 2-92-420. And then you can go a little bit more into the nitty-gritty. We'll make sure we have an additional slide for our next one, just kind of showing you how the percentages and how you can apply that into your bid. But that can go very into the specifics on how to become certified in our bid. And we actually do have a workshop that's strictly on bid incentives only. So we encourage you to attend that one if you would like to do so as well. So thank you guys for that.
Great, thank you. Sure, and I just wanted to leave with my contact information. Again, it's Lori Dittman. I'm Senior Policy Analyst with MOPD. My phone number is 312-744-4495. And my email address is lori.dittman@cityofchicago.org.
Great, thank you. Does anyone in the audience, I'm sorry for those watching us online, we're not able to capture your question, but I hope you can hear us. Did anyone here on site have any questions? You do? Sure.
I have actually I have a blind chef that's a client of mine. I've worked with her for years, and she may be interested in getting having a small cafe or restaurant at Midway or O'Hare. I understand that it's extremely expensive, in the area of $400,000 to get into Midway or O'Hare, to get the build out and get the business started and things like that. I'm wondering if there are any percentages or any incentives or for disabled people to be able to take part in this.
Is that you or is that the ACP that does the concessions?
That would be our concessions, but we can take that offline and find that information for
you.
And
okay, sorry, and I did have one other question, sure. If that's all right. I have another disabled client who's in the process. He's a City of Chicago, and he's in the process of starting a trucking company. He won't be driving the truck. He'll be, working with the contracts and that type of thing. Would there be an advantage to him becoming certified? Would he then become eligible? Are a certain amount of contracts set aside for disabled entrepreneurs? I guess that's my question.
question. So currently, we have, as part of our percentages, it's a set minority for M and W. We don't have it set forth in all the contracts for a specific percentage for BEPD.
So would it be correct to say that the incentives and the set-asides are for disabled, minority? It's a much larger pie then. So conceivably, the disabled population could not have any portion of the contracts. Would that be correct? I'm not trying to.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I suppose it's possible, but this is also where the incentive program comes in, so that we really encourage disabled-owned businesses to work with other companies, and and become the percentage of what they bring to the contract.
But they're also competing against the minority.
They can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And as a prime too, if you have a BEPD certification that you can apply as a credit and someone else can't, then obviously you would have that upper hand to be able to have that credit that they wouldn't be able to on your bid.
And actually, I guess this question is for you, although it's not policy. I think it pertains more to the Office for People with Disabilities. Sorry. So both of these clients, it's very rare to find a blind chef. We don't know of anyone else who started their own restaurant. It's very rare for a blind-owned trucking company. Once again, we don't know anyone else. Would there be...
Actually, there is one.
Is there?
Who's a certified BEPD.
Oh, really?
Yes.
In Chicago? What is the name of it, do you mind?
It's Prinsky, Tom Prinsky.
Really?
He is a distribution of fruits and vegetables.
Oh, okay, well, I guess.
Oh, the name of the company is Castro.
Astro? I was curious, but we weren't aware of any others.
Yeah, and we're able, on our website, we have all the current certified firms, so you can sort it by certification, and you should be able to export that
Okay.
data.
I was just curious whether there would be anybody within your office who would be interested in shepherding through, for example, with the blind chef to the airport, shepherding through, going through the process and assisting, especially with the O'Hare expansion, or with the trucking company. I know a lot of...
You mean like kind of the technical aspects of
yeah,
doing
exactly.
that?
This is, for example, I'm with one of the state's Illinois Small Business Development Centers at Greater Southwest. And so with my clients, I'm their guy. If they have a question, they can call me, and it would be more or less a counterpart in the city with a city contract where...
Yeah. I think, again, that would be with the concessions
something we would have to
unit with DPS.
Okay, thank you for your help.
Those are good. Very good. Do you have one, Arvin? Yeah. Sorry,
I'm just curious to know how MOPD's involvement in like design reviews for buildings as well as sites interact, I guess, in the whole permitting process.
Sure.
And on top of that, does MOPD enforce the construction of like sidewalks and like conformity with the corner ramps all throughout Chicago?
Well, on the curb cuts, we worked very closely with Department of Transportation to determine those specs. Where they should be. Curb cuts are installed as priorities, and to really ensure that any time a sidewalk is touched, that the curb cut needs to be put in and compliant, because the city's so old and it's massive. It's been kind of a tough issue to, okay, where do you start? So we did have a program that prioritized around public buildings and hospitals and schools and those kinds of things around the pedestrian streets. But then working with CDOT to ensure that whenever there's any resurfacing or any of that work done, that a compliant curb cut be installed. It's CDOT that really enforces that, but we work really closely with them. We in fact have a joint committee that we chair on curb cuts and pedestrian safety, in which we get input from the disability community about where they see kind of shortfalls, if there's other areas out there that we need to cover, and issues that they want to raise to us. In terms of the permitting, MOPD has staff that is that works up in the building department to do permits, and we're responsible for most of the accessibility reviews for any kind of building permit. The other thing that we offer is a pre-permit where people can come in and bring their plans in and have them reviewed before going into the permitting process, so that they kind of get a heads up as they're putting their designs together. Because it's always, and we've heard it and understand it well, that it's easier to address some of the accessibility issues as early in the process as possible. So we do provide pre-permit reviews to check and advise on accessibility.
Do we go through you, or does it go through DOB upstairs?
You can, for the pre-permit, you go through us. Okay. And you can call 744-4441, which is our accessibility compliance unit, and they can schedule it for you. They're generally done on Wednesdays and Fridays, but we try to accommodate everyone.
Thank you.
Sure.
More questions? Anyone else? No? All right, great. Well, thank you everyone for being here with us today, and make sure that you follow our social media pages. We're very active. Follow the Mayor's Office of People with Disabilities on social media. And then we also have the Department of Procurement Services on there as well. So thank you, everyone. We appreciate your time. There is a second workshop today at 3:15. That is Building Chicago, working with our sister agencies, and the featured agencies today are the City Colleges of Chicago and Chicago Public Schools. So thank you all.